What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Fat Thor Gaming. This is your boy Fat Thor, back with you again to bring you another Marvel Strike Force video. Today we are going to be looking at the Scorpion Breaker event. Sorry it took me so long. I actually had to restart this a few different times. I kept getting to 7, kept getting stuck. So we will take a look at Breaker, and I will show you how I finally got through 8. Got that 7 red star. So let's take a look at Breaker. As you can see, I'm stuck on node 9. I lost my sentry early, as I'll explain, and I couldn't get past 9, which with where I played, 9 and 10 wouldn't have given me another milestone anyway. So really it was just for fun. I got stuck here, like I said, but running on difficulty 4, how to get your 7 red. I used Arch Nemesis. Enemy Sabretooth has increased stats. Arch Nemesis Carnage. Enemy Carnage has increased stats. And then also Arch Nemesis Green Goblin. You really only have to worry about those 3 like one time. Sometimes the summoned Carnage gets it when you fight Null. I feel like he doesn't always get it. But that one's really not that bad. And then Fear the Serpent. This one can be a little tricky. It's going to cause a couple people to have revive. It's going to cause a couple to spawn with safeguard, things like that. As you'll be able to read through it. So you just have to kind of be careful. But the thing about revive is, honestly, when they do revive, all it takes really is a breath, and they're down again. They're gone. So, the revive really isn't that So, but yeah, I will actually restart on a new run. Well, I won't yet. Yeah, well, that way I can walk through. I'm stuck here anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright, so like I said, Omega, level 4. If I would have finished, you get way more points than what it says. I was already at 4.5. That was after 8. So if I would have finished, I would have finished probably with like 5.6, 5.7, something like that. Fear the Serpent on spawn. Enemy bio characters gain safeguard and speed up for 1 turn. Enemy tech characters gain safeguard, offense up for 1 turn. Neither one of those are that bad. 1 turn. A lot of times you can negate those. Enemy skill characters, damage lowers the target's max health by the same amount. That one can be a little tricky sometimes. Enemy mutant characters gain 25% damage, and then on spawn, enemy mystic characters gain revive once. The revive once, like I said, that one's not too bad. The enemy mutant characters, 25% damage. That one particularly, especially with Apocalypse, is a little rough and can be a little tricky. But as long as you play it right, I will say this for. We'll enter. All right, so for if you're gonna run Omega, then obviously you're gonna want to have a few of these characters that I'm going to use: Blue Marvel, Professor X, Odin. I didn't use Mephisto. I did use a full Symbiote 6. I believe I used a full Dread team with I did not have the upgraded 7 red yet. on Breaker Scorpion, but I do believe I used my Dread Team at one point. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to run Omega to get this, you do need to have some of these characters that you have to kind of chip away at for a while to get. So anyway, the first one I used Phoenix Force and Professor X and Odin. That one's really not too bad. The second one you have to use Exalted. That's really about your timing and your speeds. Watch your heals. At the end, if I'm not mistaken, you get Sabretooth, which is where one of your Sabretooth mods comes in. If you just continue to blind him with Jubilee, as you'll see, you can work on everybody else. That one's not too bad. Just remember to leave. There's only There's only 2 nodes that you use Exalted on, and there's only 2 nodes that you use Amazing Avengers on. You can also use some of those characters in other nodes. I would suggest that you didn't if you want to run through the full thing completely. You can always also throw on a few extra mods. Some of the other ones aren't that bad. I didn't use any of the 10% damage, health, armors, any of those. So you could always throw those on to try to get some extra points and try to get to where I was. I may rerun that with those extra and just see if I can get through and see if I can maybe scratch that 6 and get that first diamond. But you'll use Exalted here. Just try to leave them with good health. Try to leave them with ability. So when you get down to Sabretooth, try to leave Sabretooth for last. Just keep blinding him, and then leave him for last, and just continue to work. Use your basics and continue to build up your specials to use for node 10 if you want to try and complete it. For 3, I used Insidious 6, a full Insidious 6 team. That one's really not too bad either. You have to watch out for Quasar and Blastar together. Blastar and Thunderstrike and Quasar. You have to watch out for them together. Plus Kahori, once she'll take her initial moves. Like I said, I used a full Insidious 6 on that one. That's really designed for that node, I believe. And that one's really not too bad. You won't use Insidious 6 again. You can use 1 or 2 of those characters in other nodes, but you won't use a full Insidious 6 team again after that. For 4, I used Null, Ebony Maw, Silver Surfer Breaker, Thanos, and Ronin. After I used a few sacks. With this one's kind of tough. You need to 5, yeah. It's 3 waves. You're gonna get who do you get first? You get Kestrel, Morgan, Red Hulk, Archangel. You get Dark Beast. I think you do get Absorbing Man as well on the first wave. So you have to be careful with Kestrel, with Null. You need somebody that can negate her charged. If not, then you have to be careful with Null. Don't use that special until her charge is gone. When you get to the last one, when you get those cleared, Gambit, Rogue, Phantom X, and Forge will drop. Just be careful. Remember not to eliminate Gambit before Forge, because Forge will just bring him right back. When you get down to the last one of those, your third wave will drop, which will be Daemon, Azazel, Hellcat, Helverine, and Mummy. Mummy, of course, will have Taunt. He is a pain in the ass. Depending on where he spawns, you can initially get some damage onto Daemon with some different things. If he spawns in front or adjacent to him, if he spawns Living Mummy, if he spawns at the end, then you will not be able to reach Daemon with a lot of them. So, that can also be tricky. A little bit of RNG involved there. But that one's pretty long. I think the video for that one's kind of long. I did show some sacks on that one, but you'll only use this one for one other node. So, just look at the teams that you have, kind of divide up your teams as far as your sacks. Your 3 accursed members are really good to use here. I'm trying to remember what else I used in some of the sacks. I can't fully remember, but just split them up. Use a couple of them if you have to. Try and get rid of Kestrel, or try to at least get rid of Absorbing Man's taunt. That way you can focus on Kestrel and get rid of that charge. And Hulk, if you want to try and throw a couple sack teams out and get past Kestrel's ult and Red Hulk special, because they can both do a lot of damage. Be careful with Morgan. She will constantly pull health. So even if she's down to a little bit, do not expect her to bleed out. Okay, every time she takes her turn, she sucks health, so she does not bleed out. So do not make that mistake. Okay, so here I used a couple sack teams as well. This is your bio. You'll also only use these in one other. Like I said, you can use a few of these members. You'll have some of your Amazing Avengers, I believe. You'll have a few of your other teams. Just like I said, try and be careful not to use those if you want to fully complete this. I used, like I said, a couple sack teams. Again, you're only going to use these for one other node. So you can look at your teams, divide them up, throw a couple sack teams at them. Daring Warriors is tough. Null, Angel. This one, this one's a little tricky. So if you need to throw a couple sack teams out, try and get a few of those Daring Warrior ultimates out. Since this is Crucible heavy, trying to get a few of those Daring Warrior ultimates out of the way, and then you come back in with your core Fantastic Four with Blastar and Sentry. Again, you will use these again. That core. You also have your Symbiote 6 here that you can use with Hobgoblin, if I'm not mistaken. If not, there's Carnage. Blue Marvel is available here. Like I said, so just be careful with what sack teams you use. You're probably going to lose your Sentry on this one. If you can, try not to lose your Sentry. If you want to try and run this without Sentry, because he is really necessary on 9, where you use these again. It's really hard. Sentry would really help in that one. That one also has Null. So, I mean, it's kind of a pick your poison situation. They're both going to have Null. You're probably not going to have Sentry for both. Since he is a character that, specializes in dying. Kind of like Phoenix. So, take a couple sacks on these. Get through Daring Warrior's ultimate. Scroll is a pain in the ass. He hardly takes damage, so be careful of him as well. Like I said, take a few sacks, and then Fantastic Four, the Core 3, and then Blastar and Sentry. When you get to 6, you use Amazing Avengers. This one's pretty easy. It's all about kind of your timing and everything with your speed bar. They do a lot of all area of effect and all enemy. There's a couple different members who stun. Spider-Man spreads a lot of debuffs. You're gonna get these first 7 to begin with on your first wave, and then when you get rid of all of those, then you will get Hobgoblin and Green Goblin Classic. Now, you want to control one of them, as you'll see. It's best to try and stun, if I'm not mistaken, Green Goblin, because he tends to go first. If not, he can still hurt you. You want to stun Green Goblin, and then blind Hobgoblin, continue to work on him, and then when Green Goblin Classic is coming off a stun, you want to stun Hobgoblin, back and forth, so and so. You just want to keep them controlled. Once you get down to 1, or if you get down to where you have them under control, again, try and save your energy, because you will use this team as well as your Exalted for Node 10. So try and save your energy. Remember, there is a revive, but there's only one. That's with Blade. So again, when you get down to Hobgoblin and Green Goblin Classic, when you get them controlled and you get them both to around halfway health, don't slip up. But when you get them down to about both halfway health, try to go back to your basics and try and keep them controlled and get your abilities back up. That way, like I said, if you want to complete it, you'll need this team again as possibly your burn team. And then Exalted is the way that I'm looking at it. Anyway, so 7. I use Vulture here from my Insidious 6. I brought him back, and then I used Toxin, Venom, my Quicksilver, and my Riot, my Symbiote 6. I use them here in my Spider-Verse. You can also use Hobgoblin instead. Like I said, you can use Carnage. There's several different members you can use with that Symbiote 6. This one's fairly easy. It's not too bad. You just have to be careful with Warlock. You have to be careful with Apocalypse also as well, and you have to be careful with Darkstar. They all can do a lot of damage. Apocalypse, with that 25% mutant buff, he takes little to no damage. But this one's not too bad. Just again, try and keep, if you use your Symbiote 6, maybe use a couple burn teams first again. That way, because you're going to need your Symbiote 6 team for the bio node on 9. It's very helpful to have that too, in case your Fantastic Four doesn't work out, your Sentry's gone. You can use a burn team in there. Symbiote 6 is also available in there. So, if you want to try and use a couple sack teams and then use your Symbiote 6, again, I believe I ran it with, who did I run it with? I ran it with Vulture. But yeah, again, you'll see all those in that. And then for 8, I went back to Ronan, Hela, Null, Thanos, and then Silver Surfer Breaker. Hela's good here. She the Gregs help control a little bit. You have to be. This one also, you have to be careful with with your Astral guys, Black Knight's going to have taunt when he spawns, so you're going to want to be careful with Shadow King and then Emma over there. So you're going to want to try and get taunt off of Black Knight as quickly as you can and get some ability block or either get blind. I would recommend ability block. Blind sometimes doesn't always work. Sometimes he clears it before he attacks. If he does a passive attack on somebody else first, that can clear it and then he could attack. So I would suggest trying to get the ability block. Warlock is good here. He does ability block. You know, if you your Kahori is also good to use here. If you use her earlier in another node somewhere, to, like, say you ran through and it wasn't quite all the way done, but you know, you use Kahori. If you by chance have her ultimate ready, that's even better. But yeah, that one's again, that's not too bad. You're gonna need to possibly take a couple of sacrifices. Let Shadow King either ability block him or let him take his ultimate, one or the two. So you're gonna want to try and block him until you can get rid of him, or you're gonna want to let throw a couple sacrifices and let him go through his ultimate. Emma's ultimate as well as Ancient One, they all do a lot of damage. And then who else? Mordo, if you already have a lot of debuffs, Mordo can do a lot of damage. And then Doom, be careful with him. If you're going to focus on him, remember to take him all the way out, because if not, if he heals, he starts summoning Gregs. He'll go like 7 times. So just be careful of that. But yeah, once you get through 8, if you follow pretty much what I do here on these videos, you will have enough to get that 7 red. 7 red. Alright. So yep, that's Breaker, guys. I appreciate you watching the video. I'll show you how we got there, go through all the levels. Hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss anything. We got Tower coming up. Another week of the Fear Saga. There's a lot of stuff going on here in the next couple weeks. Marvel really listened, I guess, and now they're starting to pump out a lot of events and things. So a lot of stuff coming up. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Appreciate you joining the video. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.